They actually made a whole movie from this game, and it looks just like the video game's cutscenes. It's not like a live-action movie or anything, but it's a 90-minute long kind of future sort of film of the cutscenes of this movie. The only downside is that it doesn't have Andy Serkis as King Bohan, and to me that makes it unwatchable, which is why I have a link in the description if you want to watch all the cutscenes for this game. I think I may have missed one cutscene, but oh well, it happens. So it's most of the cutscenes, but it's a ton of fun. Anyway, this is going to be probably the first massive arena we're going to be inside this game. There will be many more to come. And we are finally using the Heavenly Sword. We get a heck of a lot cooler abilities, way more moves we can do, and there's going to be a whole lot of pop-ups coming up on the screen just telling us how we can counter, how we can use the sword to our advantage, and we can see it sort of splits up if we're going to be doing the fast attacks, which are the blue attacks, the speed attacks as the game calls them, and if it's going to be orange, I think is the other color, those are going to be heavy attacks, and we can do those too by holding R1. L2 will give us a lot of quick attacks that are really good for damaging a bunch of enemies lightly at once. It's not really going to be very effective at killing these guys. I've still found the best way to kill enemies is to knock them on the floor at some point, and then once they're squirming on the ground, move on over to them and just finish them off with a ground finisher move, which I think is done just by pushing square. King Bohan's gonna send a bunch of waves of enemies at us while the dying dad is at his feet, and the game is just gonna keep throwing more and more tutorials. There's gonna be a couple of bosses that require some of these combat moves, so that thing that I did there's gonna be a boss where that is necessary. There's actually gonna be a few bosses. And there's the power move I just did. So the power move is one of those, does a lot of damage, but it's so slow it's almost not worth it type of things. And the one time that I did try to play this game on hell difficulty, I realized that it really was not doable at all to use that stupid move. And I don't really know why games are so bent on, especially at the time, they were so happy with giving us quick moves and then strong, powerful ones, but they took so long to use that they just were not good. You know, you couldn't use them anywhere without getting hit in the middle of using them. So what did you do? You didn't use them. You used the short ones because you could put out more damage consistently with the short attacks because you could actually hit your enemy than you could with the power attack by trying to hit your enemy, but you couldn't because... Anyway, so we're going to run into a few stronger enemies here too. Instead of just the regular grunts, we're going to get some guys with shields and hats. And the shield guys love to block your attacks, which is why I said in the previous video the moves that will break shields are going to be very helpful. I think one of them is just square, square, square is all you have to do. And now we're going to learn the R1 power move, which we hadn't actually learned yet, but I was using before, and sometimes the power moves are good for getting rid of shields, or getting rid of the blocks, as we saw there, but sometimes they're really not. It's also going to maybe at some point talk about... Yeah, okay, so that's mashing. I thought that was a tutorial I was going to mention just now, which is the different blocking techniques. So as I said in the previous video, when you're blocking in this game, if you're not doing anything and a blue attack comes at you, then you will be blocking the speed attacks of other enemies. But if you see enemies doing that orange attack there, then you need to hold R1 and she'll go into the power stance, and then you'll hear that same ding that you hear in the speed stance, and then you can push triangle to try to counter them too. But again, the countering isn't perfect in this game. There's many times where you hear the ding and you're in the power stance and there's no reason that you can see that you didn't block it, but it just didn't block it. And it's almost more efficient just to roll out of the way for a lot of these enemies. Around our health bar in the top left there, we also have a little dial that will be spinning with more damage that we do. And once it fills up one of those beads, we can push and hold the circle button to instantly kill an enemy. As the game continues, we will unlock more and more of those little beads, and we'll be able to do more and more damage with those moves. And this is also one of the interesting games that actually still has a health bar. I mean, how many games today have health bars, aside from like Dark Souls and maybe MMOs? There's so many games that don't even really have a health bar anymore. I guess Fortnite does have a health bar? It's kind of interesting just the phasing away from that we've gone from having games where you have a finite amount of health that you can't regenerate, and in this one you have to pick up those, or you have to break open those bases to get your health back. And I don't think there are any ways to get your health up in this arena, so it's kind of a good idea to make sure that you're not taking any more damage than you need to. So we're just doing the shield breaker there and then trying to kill them as fast as we can. And again, if they look like they're squirming on the ground, it is in your benefit to just go over and try to kill them immediately. Having one less enemy around is much better than having 10 around. You know, 9 is better than 10. It's just less damage you have to worry about. So we're almost done with this arena here, and this whole part really is just a big tutorial screen on what you're supposed to do and the techniques you're going to be using throughout the rest of the game. We are going to be running into more enemies, different types of enemies, tougher enemies, and eventually we won't even be seeing these grunts at all. And that is a very annoying point in the game, and it's going to look pretty bad on my part because I'm going to be making a whole lot of mistakes that I shouldn't be making after how many years I've played this game off and on. But that's just how it goes, I guess. It's still easier than God of War 1 was. My goodness, that game was hard as heck the first time I played it. I wonder if it's still that hard. I don't know. I know they remade God of War 3, and there's some rumors they want to remake all the God of War games in the new engine that they use for the new God of War game. So I kind of hope they just make a sequel to God of War. I hope that they don't remake all the old games, because it's fun to have remakes for some games, but I think it's a little bit lazy when that's all developers seem to be doing, because, you know, they're selling the same game twice to us, and we're happily paying for it, but still, they're selling the same game twice to us. It's like Ratchet and Clank. Come on, guys, make a new game. They remade the first one to advertise for their movie, which was not very good, and I was really hoping they'd announce a new Ratchet and Clank, and they haven't. As far as I know, there's not any information about that yet. I'll have to go look that up. Maybe there is, but man, I want another. I want one that's like Crack in Time. Like, Ratchet and Clank Crack in Time was such a dang good game. Oh well, so that's going to be it for this video, and I'll continue on to the next part of Heavenly Sword.
Oh, it is pretty, isn't it? Yes, I like that. I like it a lot. Oh, please give it to me, or else I'll kill the old man painfully. And I can be quite inventive.
Get the sword away from him!
Kill her.
The sword does have power. I can feel it. In fact, I'm counting on it. If what is written is true, its power will soon drain my life force and it will kill me. By wielding it, I have become a ghost of flesh and blood. But really, what was I before?
Be an outsider. You made me not care. What have you done to me? What have I become? You've turned me into a killer.